Hey everybody, time for update number 2 of the Necrasin's Silver Weapons mod. Well, I've got a bunch of items on me, so we're going to go down here and make a couple of things. Alright, now like before, this part is pretty much similar. We've got crossbows now. So we'll go ahead and make one of those. And we've got silver swords, silver great swords. I'm not going to bother making any of those. I've made them, I've tested them, everything's working pretty well there. And we still have silver arrows. I'll make a couple of those, a couple batches of silver bolts. And now we have sunfire arrows and sunfire bolts. So I wanted to go over that one more time in case I left it a little bit confusing before. Originally the idea was to have silver arrows and silver bolts available. I was going to make the damage rating like 7, like just below iron, and apply the silver weapon script, which would give it a damage of 27 against undead, 7 against living, but 27 against undead. But I'm not able to, at least I have not found a way to apply that script to bolts and arrows. So I took the other option, and that was to create an enchantment, enchanted arrows, enchanted bolts. And that's what these are. Sunfire arrows and sunfire bolts. As you can see, these burn undead for 20 points of sun damage. It's a flat 20 points. There's no taper, there's no duration. It's just a flat 20 points of sun damage. This is the same as what it would be if I was able to put the script on here, which I can't, so I put an enchantment on it instead. And crossbow, well, it's got a little more damage than the other bow. But yeah, it looks like a steel crossbow. But you can use regular steel bolts, but it's not really recommended. I mean, you can, but the whole point of making silver arrows and silver bolts is that that's part of the recipe to make sunfire arrows and sunfire bolts. Now, what I could have done was just made the requirement for the sunfire arrows and bolts to use steel bolts, steel arrows. But the problem with that is you need the steel smithing perk. And it didn't make any sense to me that you would need a smithing perk for the arrows and bolts, but not a smithing perk for the bows and crossbows, or the swords, because there is no silver smithing perk. That just didn't make any sense to me. I was going to get rid of not even use these because the silver ones by themselves, because I couldn't apply the script. But I decided to keep them and just use them as a stepping stone to the enchanted arrows and enchanted bolts. So this dagger has the sun damage enchantment. This is what's going to go on the weapons. This has nothing to do with what's on the arrows and the bolts. So I'm going to go ahead and put this enchantment on the bow. And I'm going to put it on the crossbow. You know what? Now that I think of it, I'm going to make a couple more without the enchantments. We could do a little comparison. So we'll start with the silver bow. You'll notice right here the text is gone now. I got rid of it. That normally says especially effective against undead. I removed that text. The script is still here. It's still applied. But the text is gone. So if you enchant it, like I did here, we can see what the enchantment is. And that was my choice. So I'm going to queue up this bow, so it does the extra 20 damage against undead. So this bow right now is going to be doing 33 damage against undead, plus 10 for the arrows. We'll go outside and conjure up some things to kill. Yeah, I've been beating up vampires a lot lately. It's been kind of fun. Let's see if I can find one real quick. Well, there's one now.
Oh, no, you don't. Damn you.
Alright, so that took about 7 arrows. So, let's switch out. Let's stay with this bow, and we'll switch out to the Sunfire arrows. This is going to give us an additional 20 points of damage.
Is someone there?
Yep.
Thought I heard
Stop moving. Well, I think that took 6. It was a little bit better. But you'll notice now with these Sunfire arrows, we get an explosion, and we get the sound of the explosion and a little sunburst. So, let's switch back to, well, let's just use some silver arrows. When we'll switch over to the bow we enchanted. This one's got the sun damage enchantment on it.
What was that?
If you watch her health bar, you can see how it declines.
That's all you got?
You can see how her health bar was declining. There's a... I built into it. I think I talked about that before. I built into taper in it. It's actually the damage is over 3 seconds. It tapers off during that time, where at the end of 3 seconds it's only doing 25%. So most of the damage happens in about the first second or so, but there's still that. It's burn damage. It's built into that so that when you, by the time you send your second arrow downrange and it hits the target, the first arrow damage for that enchantment should be ending, because it takes like about 2.5, 3 seconds to put another arrow down on target. So that's kind of why I built that in. It doesn't really help much if you're using a one-handed weapon, you're swinging it real fast. That kind of negates it, but I didn't create this mod with one-handed weapons in mind. I created the mod with, silver bow, but decided I'd had a crossbow, and then thought, well, there are swords and great swords in the game. I guess I can include those as well. Alright, so if we go all in now, silver bow with the silver sword script, the enchantment, and the Sunfire arrow.
Hello? Who's there?
If I can hit him. Alright. So you notice also that they will burn. They will get set on fire. The sunburst effect, that's from the ammos. That's from the arrows and the bolts. The burn damage is from the enchantment that's on the weapon itself. Here, let's try a crossbow. If we don't use the sun bolts, you'll see it looks just like any other. It doesn't do anything. You don't have the sunburst effect.
Oh no, you don't.
Now she's still gonna burn. She's still gonna get set on fire. That's from the enchantment that's on the weapon. So if we switch out to Sunfire bolts, then we're going to get the sunburst as well as being set on fire.
Oh no, you don't.
So at 20 points, it's not huge, but it helps. As you can see, you can recover these. But if you shoot them in the tree, you can't. I haven't seen them yet. Oh, there it is. Oh, that was the other one, I think. Yeah, but you can recover them off the bodies, though. So that's pretty much it. The only thing I really want to change right now is the recipes. What I'm kind of thinking right now, I have Ancestor Moth and Torchbug Thorax. I'm kind of thinking I'm keeping the Ancestor Moth wing and changing out the Torchbug Thorax for, get this, Vampire Dust. I mean, you know, well, think about it. Right? You get bit by a venomous snake. What do? You go to the hospital, what do? They give you anti-venom. What's anti-venom made from? Snake venom. Right? So it's kind of the same thing. Use vampire dust to make something to do more damage against vampires. See? It's like anti-venom. But, you know, for the undead. So that is... that's about it. Everything's looking pretty good right now. That's actually not the sunburst effect I wanted, but I have to apply an explosion. And when it comes to explosions, there's only so many available unless I can figure out some way to add effects to create my own. I already did create my own explosion, but I had to do a number of things I had never done before. I had to do some real deep digging in the creation kit and reverse engineer a few things. I figured out how to do stuff. So, because I have never enchanted an arrow or a missile before, so that part was new. I had to figure that out, and the enchantment for the bow is pretty easy. It's basically damage health, but it's you know, it's called sun damage. And I just put in a condition that it only applies to the undead. I can use these weapons, any of them, against the living. The weapon itself, the arrow or the bolt, will do damage, but the enchantments will not damage the living. So it's pointless to use them against living targets. But that's why I wanted to make, you know, it takes a little bit of effort to make the silver arrows or silver bolts, and then to upgrade those to the sun arrows and sun bolts. It's not something where you're gonna, you know, bang out a few hundred of them. Yeah, I can foresee this is where you're walking around like 50 or 60 of these, and you use them against, you know, like the boss in a Nordic Ruin or something, or a Master Vampire, something that you need something with an edge. That's kind of the idea. What do you say we bring up a few more of these idiots?
Never should have come here.
Oh my god! I'm surrounded by vampires! That hurts, doesn't it?
And you thought I was just a pretty face. I'll kill you where you stand.
I never thought your face was pretty. That's a lie, I did.
Smell your blood.
It's not my blood you're smelling. I had beans for dinner. But, you know, whatever.
And you thought I was just a pretty face.
You're just about done. Didn't quite make it, did you? You weren't as invisible as you thought you were.
And you thought I was just a pretty face. I'll kill you.
Wait, don't you guys have anything different to say?
This.
Oh, that's a start. So you can watch their health bars climb down. Having that little burn damage is pretty helpful. But like I said, the purpose of that is, it's not these guys again. I think you get the point. So, yeah, I don't think there's anything else to add to it. The sun damage enchantment, that can be applied to any weapon. I've got a number of weapons on me. I put it on the mace, I put it on the axe, I put it on the glass bow. I applied it to, well, you already said it had the iron. It was on a dagger to begin with, but I put it on this Nordic sword. I even put it on the pickaxe. So it can be applied to any weapon as far as I can tell. And it should be. It's just another enchantment. Let's see, what else? I guess that's about everything. So the only thing left is just to look at the recipes, the crafting recipes, and I think for the silver arrows and silver bolts, I think I knocked them down from 6 to 2. 2 silver ingots and 2 firewood to make 12 arrows or 12 bolts. So the only thing I'm going to be looking at now is what to do for the sunfire. But I kind of like the idea of vampire dust and then, some ancestor moth wings. Yeah, I don't know. That's again that whole Dawn Guard kind of tie-in anti-vampire thing. But this works equally as well against... Is that the right one? Yeah. This works equally as well against Draugr. Oh man, there's one now. Now I'm on adept difficulty, but I don't have any perks and archery. I think my archery skill is like 40. So if I wanted to be fast, I could probably just avoid getting hit by this guy. But you see how you get the sun flash and then it sets him on fire? I really wanted both. That was a little bit tricky at first, trying to decide which way to go with that. Take a knee. What's wrong? Oh, you slipped through that one, huh? Oh, there's a sun effect down here too. Hang on a second. You gotta see this. Alright. That's all we need. Some nighttime. You can watch, you can see the arrow leaves it's illuminated as it travels. And you can see where it hits. That's kind of cool. You send it up through the trees, it'll light up the trees as it's going through them. So, yeah, there you go. It doesn't set anything on fire as far as, setting the ground on fire. Although that was something I was considering. You know, so you could shoot an arrow somewhere on the ground and they walk through it. But as I and that's going overboard. This is a lot right here. You got the damage from the weapon. You got the damage from the missile. You've got the silver script. You've got the enchantment, and you on the weapon. You got the enchantment on the missile. So that's a lot of damage. So anyhow, that's gonna do it. I don't know if I'm gonna make another update video. Probably not. I'll probably just make one short video. That's, you know, I'll put on the Nexus page when I do put this one on the Nexus. Got to do a few more things. I got to decide on that recipe, and I think I'm gonna put a couple of items out here somewhere in the world. I think I'm going to put a barrel over there by the entrance to Shriekwind Bastion. Just put a few items in there. Not too many, but just a few to kind of get you started. And maybe a little note saying how everything works. And, of course, leave that enchanted dagger on there so you can disenchant that. And, yeah, that's about it. So, anyway, thanks for watching. Take it easy. See you next time.